Am I the asshole for not wanting my girlfriend to repay her school loans to her parents? Update. I'm done getting lynched. Most of those who commented did not read my post, did not get my point, downvoted my explanations and know fuck all about me, my girlfriend and our relationship. Obviously the downvoting of my clarifications reflects the need to light up my straw man. I don't see any reason. I think I have been polite and discursive, and I have only gotten insults back. Probably shouldn't have asked teenagers how to handle adult life. I initially kept it out of the scope of this post, but I did help her these last times, financially. I do not hold it against her and I do not want her to pay me back. I want her to have a successful life, even if eventually we might not end up forever together. I don't want her to cut ties with her family, and I would hate for it to happen. That's why I suggested talking and explaining. I have been accusing of wanting to control her money. Apart from the ridiculousness of the fact that I am barely trying to control my money, I have been getting groceries for her out of my €500 salary. I will leave this here, which I believe summarizes the situation well. No assholes here. If she needs to pay €50k on a salary of €20k, she will not be in a position to contribute to a house or to have the time, money for children. Even if she's paying it out of her salary, that means her next 5–10 years are going to be affected by this debt. By extension, anyone who partners with her will be affected. I can't fault her for living up to the agreement with her parents. She also has been making a point of splitting costs 50-50. She acted entirely ethically. The problem is, if you're in a relationship, her debt is going to affect the life you can have together. I won't blame my girlfriend. I advocated her against it, but ultimately she made a choice as a 20-something inexperienced girl, but her parents should have known better. Ultimately, I don't want to be the one paying 90% of the rent, utilities and food because we need to repay a useless debt. I wish to establish a thorough and well-thought plan to make a family of us. Morally, it's wrong to fleece her parents, but it's wronger to cripple us too for a decade. That makes me the asshole, but it makes AA that has a point. A valid one. Also, the US are a fucked up place, and honestly you should ponder how my situation, the worst kind of loan situation where I live, is regarded as nothing bad, it's just debt, where you live. So my girlfriend and I are planning to move together after 3 years of relationship, and money came up as a point of discussion. We are both fine with splitting up expenses in a 50-50 manner. We live in the EU. She is in university, I am soon to be working as a decently, but not GRLT, paid government employee. The problem is that my GF, years ago, chose to move to a big city and study at a private university instead of a public one. Her parents, likely being overconfident in their economical possibilities, decided to pay for my GF's studies, but at the condition of being paid back as soon as she gets working, seeing that she could have chosen a public, and cheap, uni instead. She has to repay about €50k in a country with a median net salary of €20k. My GF's degree is not really marketable, and such a debt would cripple her, ours, start in life, hurting us much more than it would hurt their parents not to get the money back. As an addition, my opinion is that parents should facilitate their kids' life, and they should not expect children to be economically neutral or positive to them. My girlfriend assured me that she would pay her parents back from her own salary. But really, that would be money coming out of our already thin paychecks, and I would end up needing to compensate for her initially low, and then even lower salary after the loan payments. I told her that I do not care for her parents and I feel morally fine cutting ties with them. I told her that we, as a couple, need to make us two a priority, and that I do not want to be collateral damage of her and her family irresponsible decisions. I am not suggesting to flip off her parents, but politely explain to them that we have a serious need of money and they don't. She proceeded to get mad, reassuring me that we would not feel any monetary damage, which is literally untrue, and that eventually we will be fine. You are the asshole. If her trying to pay her parents off bothers you that much, then don't be with her. I mean, if you're worried about being collateral damage, then it sounds like you're not even ready to live together. Plus the fact you're willing to cut ties with her family for what? Your pride? You have a right to be worried about your future, but stop being toxic towards her and her family's decisions about her schooling and with her paying them back. You're being a jerk here hardcore. Lol, definitely you are the asshole. You want your girlfriend to renege on an agreement, terms she made with her parents, just because you don't want to be impacted by having a partner with financial debt? Get over yourself. It is not your place to decide whether her parents are significantly impacted or not. She had a plan, wise or not, and an intent to carry it out. Do not get in her way. Live off your own means. Continue working out your financial arrangement in terms of what is shared and who pays what. But the reality of your situation is that you are in a partnership with someone who has debt and they seem okay with it. If that doesn't work for you, if you are uncomfortable with how that will impact you, do not move in together. YTA, it's not your problem. Keep your nose out of it. And are you looking to spoil her relationship with her family? You are the asshole. You don't have to repay it out of your money. But your girlfriend made a deal with her parents. If she was foolish enough to squander her education on a bullshit degree, that is on her. You are the asshole. The agreement is between girlfriend and her patient. It is beyond rude to say she shouldn't pay them back and that as parents they should just suck it up and pay for her expensive education. You sound very entitled. Am I the asshole for reporting a mother and her glitter monster to a flight attendant? I had a situation that happened to me on a long-haul flight yesterday and I need your verdict. I'd paid for an aisle seat in main cabin extra because of my long legs. It was a packed flight and my rowmates were a mother, late 30s, with a young child, maybe 5 or 6. They brought a bunch of arts and crafts to keep the kid busy, things like a glue stick, markers, paper, craft sticks. Sounds cute, right? Well, not when the glitter came out. The child, let's call her Glitter Godzilla, GG, was making a mess, and since she was in the middle seat, the glitter would spill over onto my side. If you remember glitter from elementary school, it's messy as fuck if you try attaching it to paper. There's a lot of shake-off and most of it doesn't stick. So yeah, the glitter and marks from the glue stick rolling off the gray table was everywhere on my shoes, my backpack, and my jeans. I'm patient and get kids can be messy, but this felt crazy. I tried catching the mom's eye, hoping she'd step in. But she just gave me a blank look like, this is how it is. I'm not confrontational, so when I got up to use the bathroom, I quietly shared the situation with a flight attendant. She promised to discreetly address it. When I got back to my seat, the mother was pissed. I DK what the flight attendant said, but the mom claimed I was being discriminatory against mothers, and since the flight was delayed she was just trying to keep her child entertained. Then she started raising her voice, accusing me of being a selfish man with no understanding of children, all this despite the fact that my lower half now looks bedazzled. There were no other seats available, so I was stuck the rest of the flight with this lady's verbal attacks. The flight attendants gave me looks of sympathy but didn't want to step in. Of course the mother gave me a final fuck you as we deplaned. I travel a lot and this was the flight from hell. Not to mention it was pretty embarrassing in the airport. Not that I can blame people taking notice. Am I the asshole here? Was I wrong to get some help in dealing with what felt like a glitter assault? Should I have just sucked it up and became a human art project? Edit 1. Wow, I did not expect to wake to all these emails from Reddit. I'm working through comments but wanted to share a few more details. 1. You're clearly not a parent. Yes, that is correct, I am not. But even as a non-parent I know it's not appropriate to act like this in front of a child. In the end I was able to get off and go home. But this kid is stuck, doesn't have that luxury. As time goes on I feel worst for the kid. 2. Why didn't you say anything? I tried initiating a conversation but the mother made it very clear she had no interest in doing so. Between her body language and ignoring me there wasn't really a way to start a conversation. I wasn't going to press it considering she had already argued with the flight attendant during boarding about having to gate check a bag. They were like boarding group 8 or 9. Based on her later reaction I stand by decision to ask for assistance. I'm glad the flight attendants knew what was going on, especially when things started escalating. 3. Why didn't the flight attendant step in? I'm asking myself the same thing, but I think everyone just wanted to get home after a shitty few days of air travel. In some ways I don't blame others for not getting involved based off how unhinged people can get on planes. 4. This was really glitter from visiting a strip club. Damn, you got me Reddit. Please don't tell my wife the truth, tears of joy lol. Not the asshole, she could have at least been a glitter shield by putting her kid on the window seat. Not the asshole, but you flew with one. She deserved to be called out. Having a kid doesn't mean you get to impose their messes on anyone else. The kid should have also been in the window seat. Not the asshole. I'm non-confrontational too, and I would have been so scared sitting next to someone who's yelling and cursing at me. I'm surprised the flight attendant didn't do more to defuse the situation if one passenger was yelling at another one. Not the asshole, you're taking public transportation, so unfortunately, this comes with the territory. Terrible parenting all around. That sucks, dude. Let's be honest. Kids suck. Crappy parents suck more. Am I the asshole for telling my parents to get divorced in the middle of an airport? The past 48 hours were death by 1,000 cuts. Jesus Christ. My family and I, 23 female, went to Italy this past week for a vacation. It was my parents, my 17-year-old sister, my aunt, and 27-year-old cousin. It was a mostly good time, pretty hot out, but the art was cool and I was excited about that. Our flight home was 3 connecting flights, Venice to Montreal, Montreal to Toronto, and Toronto to my home city. That's a lot. It was a 30-hour day. My aunt and cousin got on a different flight out of Venice since they both live further away. My parents have hated each other since I was 11. They almost got divorced when I was 13, but changed their minds, and will never let me forget that. Staying together for the kids meant that I'm the reason they're so miserable now. They sure do love to tell me that. Anyways, our flight delays, we have to sprint through Montreal. Customs takes forever and my parents suck at technology. My dad snapped at my mom snapped back. My dad started flirting with the flight attendant and some other lady in the airport. My mom shut down and almost didn't get on the flight home, and they had been screaming loudly at each other for everyone in the Toronto airport to hear. It was embarrassing. I've been in and out of therapy for over a decade now dealing with their bullshit because they won't go, and I end up being the collateral every time they would fight in front of me. So every day my entire childhood. But while we were waiting to board, my dad starts chatting up some lady in front of my mom, who texts me this. If your boyfriend treats you badly, you can break up. I have no option like that. Dad is now enjoying his second conversation with a second single woman since we left Italy and hasn't had one polite conversation with me. Just demeaning ones. I have no options like you did. So I snapped, and yelled at them both, stop acting like children. This is not appropriate to do in front of me and my sister. Either go to therapy or get fucking divorced. I'm tired of being your collateral every time you are at each other's throats. There's more really shitty things that they said to each other that I can detail in comments if y'all want. But they both laid into me for embarrassing them. As if they weren't fully doing it to themselves. I was on hour 30 of no sleep, I was hungry, and I was about to get on my 3rd fucking flight of the night. I don't live with them, I have my own place, but for the past year any time they do this shit I just up and leave. Unfortunately not possible in an airplane. They've both been laying into me for embarrassing, disrespecting them since the incident in IDK. Maybe they need to get embarrassed in an airport. This shit can't be normal. But maybe I'm playing victim like my mom says. I don't know. ETA. Update, mom called. She very much expected me to apologize for airing out her dirty laundry. I told her I was just calling them out for embarrassing me. And told her a lot of the things you guys said. That this isn't the 1950s, and seeing them hurt each other hurts me. It went nowhere unfortunately. She went on and on about how I'm a child and should never speak to my parents in this way. I reminded her. I'm 23, 24 in a month. Not a child. I fully support myself. She doesn't care. It's like in her mind I'm fully subject to all of her wants and needs, just because she gave birth to me. Not the asshole. You embarrassed them? That's rich. You're correct that they should not be acting like this in front of their children. Or in public generally. It is so inconsiderate. Also, I would feel so uncomfy if an obviously married man who was in a fight with his wife was trying to flirt with me at the airport, with kids right there too. What a dick move honestly. I feel bad for the women your dad tried to drag into that mess. Where can I watch this movie? The Hallmark Channel? Drop them like the plague. For a while for your own mental state just maybe don't answer them, ignore them cause they seem draining. I suggest take a vacation from the vacation to not dwell on this and say you not gonna deal with them if they can't behave like adults and not 5-year-olds. Info. Why do you go on vacations with them? Why do you put yourself in this situation? Even if they don't want to get officially divorced, they need to end pretending they are in a romantic relationship. Agree to not be partners and only co-parents. They despise each other. Not the asshole. I have no idea why they still together. Would I be the asshole if I declined to be a bridesmaid in a friend's wedding because of another bridesmaid? This is a simplified version of a very long, complicated story. I, 28F, have been friends with C, 27F, for 15+ years. Both C and I are getting married next year, so it's been fun helping her with it. But I've had this fear in the back of my mind for a while now. I fear that C will ask B, 28F, to also be a bridesmaid. B and I were friends all throughout school, however, she was the definition of a bully. She bullied me physically, mentally, and emotionally for years. I stuck it out because I was afraid I would lose all my friends if I chose not to be B's friend. About 2 years ago, I decided to cut ties completely with B over an irrelevant situation. There was no hate or spite, I was just done with the abuse and toxicity. Shortly after, she lost the majority of her, and my friends because she started bullying others since she no longer had me to push around. I honestly haven't thought about B since I ended the friendship. I knew she and C still talked, but I didn't think they were close or talked often. Recently, I got several, like over 20, texts from an unknown number. The summary of the texts was saying I was a piece of shit, I was selfish, none of my friends liked me, all of them, including C, talked shit to her about me. I was ruining C's wedding by trying to one-up her with a fancy expensive wedding. I'm worthless, I shouldn't exist, etc. I Google searched the number and found out it was B's girlfriend. I didn't respond, I just blocked the number. For context, my fiancé and I are also getting married next year, about 5 months before C. We started planning our wedding before we were engaged, so we have most of it planned now, but we kept the planning to ourselves to avoid judgment for planning our wedding before we were engaged. We also have well-paying jobs and can afford the things we want at our wedding. After getting the text, I asked C about it and asked if she really felt that way. She sent me screenshots of the one text where she mentioned my name to B. It said, "Appa so lucky to be able to afford this and that. Weddings are so expensive," to which B responded, "FCK that C, NT and her shitty wedding." C defended me by saying, "She's still my friend and I'm happy that they can afford the things they want," and redirected the conversation. C apologized to me for mentioning my name and said she didn't think it would cause any issues, especially not 2 years later. I didn't blame her at all. I found out earlier today through a mutual friend that C is considering having B as a bridesmaid. She even said, "I know how Op would feel and I really don't want to put her in that situation, but I don't know what to do. C can have whoever she wants in her wedding, that's not something I have any say in. But I do have a say in what choices I make for myself. I have no desire to be around someone who hates that I exist for no reason. I would still go to C's wedding and support her as a guest, but if she asks B to be a bridesmaid, I will likely say no. Wibta? Not the asshole. If B, and her girlfriend apparently, unless it was B using her girlfriend's phone, actively hates you that much and goes out of her way to harass you, you're totally justified in not wanting to be around her at all. And if C is aware of it and doesn't seem to care, that's on her. I'd turn it down too if I were you, and be explicitly clear about why. I mean, if she knows how B treated you and saw those texts from B's girlfriend, it would be pretty shitty of her to them all B to be a bridesmaid, and it sounds like she knows that. You would have no obligation to say yes or even attend or remain friends in that case, if you did now, which you don't. That said, you didn't hear it from C and you just got through an incident where something C said was misinterpreted by B and then misinterpreted by B's girlfriend and then got to you. I think you should give C benefit of the doubt until you hear from her. You can ask C, but I think that would be like putting her in the middle of your and B's bad blood unnecessarily if you haven't heard this rumor from C directly. Not the asshole. Question. Has she asked you to be her bridesmaid already or you're just worrying about it with no context? What's with friends being friends with bullies? I don't understand how it can not bother someone to be disgusted with that. If she decides to have this person in her wedding, I would walk away from the entire situation. This B person probably just a miserable person and not someone I would want to spend time around, even for a friend's wedding.